At what point did the conversation come up around moving Sarah into a care home, and what were the changes that led to that discussion?
So regarding her moving into a care home, it was rather difficult because, like I said, because I'd moved out of
Mm.
home. Her workplace had essentially said she needs to be in medical suspension just so I can figure things out. And that way it was nice because things were taken care of financially. It was just a way of like making sure she got the right support, which they
Yeah.
couldn't provide. So they gave me that opportunity. And it got to a point where she was in a pretty difficult time with the form of person that she was seeing, and she got into a fall in the garden. The ambulance came and they took her to the hospital because I'd been saying for years that there's something up with her, but because she was quite resistant to the idea, she obviously didn't want to progress things any further. But when she got to the hospital, this was during the medical suspension as well, like so they were able to notice a lot more that things obviously weren't right. And then also with that person in the picture, they tried to like they noticed that she was also a vulnerable person as well, which has
Yeah.
been taken advantage of. So they managed to escalate things further, which was a godsend because, like I said, adult social care were not able to like do anything because she's an adult and she was still within her right frame of mind. And it's only when, like I said, doctors and nurses started to notice and that person was like being really shady to them because I'd been seeing
Yeah.
it for years. Um, only when that happened that they were able to like escalate the situation. And yeah, afterwards she got into a respite, um, and then we managed to find her a place in a care home near me, about a 20-minute drive from me. I think what took a long time to get things resolved as well is the fact that you don't really look at adults as being taken advantage of in a way or being vulnerable unless
Yeah.
it's pretty obvious. But if yeah, because she's a very small little dainty little gal, and the person that was there was like a large male figure, and people just like thought, oh, she was fine and whatnot. So it's one of those where I've been speaking to my therapist about this. I've just been wrestling with the idea because I was like pushing for it because it never happened for years. So in a way, when she did have that fall, which I will never know the real reasons what happened because when I tried to ask her, she never spoke about it and whatnot. But
Yeah.
I'm incredibly grateful it did happen because I think that would have been her last straw because I tried to push it through adult residential services and just like the social worker and stuff and her workplace. But
Yeah.
like again, because she kept saying no, no, thank you and stuff. So, but yeah, it's one of those where people don't necessarily think about the vulnerability of an older person, and that's
Yeah.
been eye-opening for me.
I don't know about for Sarah, but certainly for my dad, he didn't want people knowing he had dementia. He was very proud and would try and kind of cover that up or mask certain behaviors. And so to other people, it can really come across as, oh, well, I'm sure they're fine. You know, they're an adult. They can't be a vulnerable person. But actually, there's a lot more going on under the surface.
Absolutely, and it's one of those where it's like I guess especially with a parent because you know that they're being strong as well, and they usually appear strong. So the fact that they have to now like succumb to this illness, which they know, well, at the moment there's no cure for it, so that they know it's basically a one-way ticket, and it's not necessarily the nicest way to pass as well, is it?
No.
So it's just so much to wrestle with. So yeah, it's very difficult and heartbreaking.
And this might be a really difficult question, and feel free to not answer it. But when you think about everything that's happened since, dementia has become a part of your lives, what feelings come up for you?
In the beginning, anger, um,
Yeah.
blame, guilt, wondering why, like why me sort of thing. You never think it's yourself, do you? Which is a silly thing to think because why not you, but you know what I mean? Like what
Yeah.
makes you special in a way. But yeah, why me? And then like I said, that what I said earlier, sorry about that feeling of being robbed in a way. Not in a way, robbed in a way, robbed.
Yeah.
um the experiences and things that are to come or have happened and she's not aware of what's happening. But I think now because it's been 6 years of this. I think I've just got a sense of I've made peace with the situation. It's
Hmm.
I think as she's coming to like the late stages of her life now, it's just one of those where it's like I'm just trying to accept what's happening. I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna cry. But I don't mean to cry because of the question. It's more just like I don't know if you felt the CC when with your dad as well. You feel like you're not breathing really. You're holding it all in. And then I feel like the closer with her getting to that stage, I feel two things. It's just duality. So one of them is I feel like I'm relaxing a bit, but then also I feel like I'm getting further away from the image of her. And it's just something I'm trying to navigate and wrestle, but I'm also accepting because it's also like she's gonna get that peace eventually.
Yeah.
And I'm just hoping that when she does go, it's as pain-free as possible. So yeah, that's the sort of
Yeah.
mindset I have regarding dementia.
I know exactly what you mean. That feeling, it feels not even just like you can't breathe, it feels like something is crushing you. So even if you're desperately trying to take a breath, you just can't. And it feels like no
No,
matter how many times you kind of climb out and feel like you're on top of things, that you're managing, something comes and gets dumped on top again, and it just, you feel like you're suffocating again. It is a horrible, horrible cycle. But if I
it
can
is.
say that, because I definitely had that where I felt like I almost was losing dad as I remembered dad and could only really remember the dementia, after 10 years of it and then seeing him in the home and seeing how much he changed. It doesn't feel like you're looking at the same person. And of course, they
Mm.
are still them, but it's very hard when you're there looking into their eyes and you can't quite see the person that you remember. And I think the further through that we got. And now, obviously, having lost dad, I actually can only really remember the good images of him because, in after his passing, looking at all the wonderful photos of him when he was younger, sharing all those memories, getting to talk about him in spaces like this now. The image of him has become stronger of when he was healthy again. So that does come back. It's just something that takes a while to get there.
That's really reassuring to hear as well because like I said, because I'm literally I'm still in the thick of it. So it's
Yeah.
quite it's difficult into every now and then, but for you to say that as well, okay, that gives me a sense of calm. And like you've probably picked up and I've mentioned prior, like I said, I try to go by Sarah because that's what she responds with. But having the closer things are getting and like speaking with yourself and my therapist, I'm learning to open up to the idea of mum again, which I'm now slipping in every now and then, not just in this conversation, but in my day to day. I think before it took me a while to like, I was fully detached from the idea because I just kept thinking she's gone,
Yeah.
which she's not, but it's one of the, it's just a weird thing. And it's a weird feeling, and you just try and navigate it the best you can.
I feel like unless you have actually lived it, it is so hard to put into words what that feeling is of like,
Yeah,
of course they're them, but they're not. And you don't mean
yeah,
that in a mean way, but you do have to be practical and realistic about it sometimes because I suppose there's also an element there of you do have to protect yourself in a sense. You can't be overly emotional about it all the time because you do kind of fall into that pit of negative thinking. And there are a lot of positives that come out of, being a carer and also getting to spend quality moments with the person that you care for. And do you think that that's changed for you and your mum with her being in the home? Do you feel like now you're able to enjoy time together, that you can relax a little bit more as a carer?
so in the very, very beginning, obviously she was somewhat aware of what was going on. So every time I used to come and visit her, it was I used to come quite often, so it would be like every like 2, 3 days in the beginning. And she was obviously aware of the situation, so she was quite hysterical, and then she'd calm down and then would get on with the visit and whatnot. But then it got to a nice sweet spot when she'd been there for what, 3 months or so. And the first, yeah, after those 3 months, and she was just like she'd forgotten more, so she was just in a happier bubble. And her thing is because she's still mobile, she's able to walk around and she loves to dance and stuff. So the care staff and the care home would put on like music and stuff like that and like dance breaks. So she got into this really like nice, happy space. I'd take her out for day trips, we'd go see stuff and whatnot. And
Nice.
that was really nice that way. But now it's getting to the point where, like again, I said it's going downhill. So she's starting to do things with like forgetting more. So like even things like bodily things. So she was like, um, the dignity is going a little bit. So I'm just trying
Yeah.
to like uphold her in that way.
Yeah.
But then she's getting also a bit not she's not violent, but she's very much more withdrawn, losing weight and stuff. So it's now trying to navigate those feelings of okay, I've shifted and I enjoyed that bit with her now. And now it's
Yeah.
like we're now navigating to this little bit. So it's like trying to deal with that situation in a way.
And it's not easy because, sometimes I remember going to visit dad and you have one visit where he's not lucid the whole time, but he's having these moments where you put on a piece of music, you have a little bit of a dance, or there's a film on that he's enjoying, or you get a smile or a response to a question where you might not always. And then the next time you visit, it can be very, very hard to go there and see that even from, one week to the next, it's not the same, that he's not responsive. He's struggling to get up. He was also quite mobile as well, but yeah, he might not want to, or he's leaning quite badly, or his body's in a strange position and you can't quite get him to sit straight. And you just leave feeling quite defeated. I remember walking out
Yeah.
sometimes and getting to the car and thinking, I need half an hour to just sit here and cry my eyes out, actually, and then we can get on with our day.
What takes me by surprise, and I don't know if it was the same for you, it's like, when you do have that one nice visit and you think, you know what, we can make the most of this.
Yeah.
It's not, well, it's bad, but it's like we can make the most of it. And then when you do have that crap visit and you're like, okay, no, I hate this now. Like, yeah, you just want to break down, don't you? Because you're just thinking, I can't do this. And it's just, oh, awful, isn't it? Then you have another good visit and you're like, woo,
It is such a roller coaster. Sometimes, yeah, you don't know if you're up or down. Sometimes, you have a few good weeks in a row, or I don't know if you've ever had it where when you've been to visit, things haven't been great, but maybe you then get an update from the care staff, and it seems like whenever you're not there visiting, they seem to be doing all right. They seem to be doing a bit better, and then
yeah,
you're kind of kicking yourself thinking, why can't I go all the time? Or, if only I'd gone on this day instead. But as we've said before, you can't get into those negative thinking patterns because the reality is we just have to get on with it. And there will be good days and there will be bad days. And it's just about finding the support and the community to kind of navigate through that. And I think also being able to just hold your hands up and say, do you know what? I'm tired and I'm
yeah,
exhausted and I'm finding this hard. And there's nothing
yeah.
wrong with admitting that. Is there a piece of advice that you've acquired through your personal journey with dementia that you think could benefit other young dementia carers?
Just give yourself a pat on the back because it's hard. We're
Yeah.
doing hard things all the time, and it's just one of those where it's like if you, like I said, if you have a bad day, do not feel guilty about spending the afternoon at home and not going to see them because you'd rather go see them when you're feeling good. 'Cause, yeah, you don't want to take out your frustration, and then you get frustrated with yourself.
Yeah.
Um, the space that you've created, Cece, is honestly amazing. Like having met you from TikTok and seeing all the work that you do as well, and like the website, it's been really informative. And also, it's just been nice to have someone who's also going through the same thing in a way. So, as
Yeah.
weird as it is saying a nice thing, you know what I mean.
No, I
But
know
I
exactly what
appreciate
you
you
mean.
so
It's
much,
always
honestly.
strange to say to someone, "Oh, I'm so glad to have met you," when it's in the context of your parents having dementia. But yeah, it
Yeah,
is that shared connection that you think, it's really lovely that someone else gets this. I think it's important for us as young dementia carers to understand, A, we're not alone, and B, our needs are important as well. We need a place to have a break, we need a place to come and talk about it, and we need a place to feel understood. So hearing your experience as well is going to be helpful to so many other young dementia carers. So thank you so much for sharing that.
thank you. Thank you so much. It's been a really good pleasure.
Brilliant. So we will see you for the next Carers Conversations episode soon. Thank you very much for joining us, Betty, and speak to you next time.